Broadcasting from Chicago, Illinois. Ladies and gentlemen, ENA and ENA President Ron Kraus welcome you to the 2021 ENA General Assembly.
Welcome back, everyone, to the second day of 2021 General Assembly. Let me now call to order the 2021 General Assembly of the Emergency Nurses Association.
Ron, I'm going to break protocol for a brief moment for a short video announcement.
Ron, I wanted to take the time to wish you a very happy birthday. It's been many years, and you have taught me so much about how to be an exceptional leader through your example. You challenge me. You're always thinking about the nurses and the team members on the front line and striving to do our best. You remind us of what is truly important in life, that we always put your family, your friends, your colleagues before yourself. And you teach us every day how to lead in a very principled way. I'm so proud to have known you. You're exceptional, and you've really been a true role model for me. Thank you so much for all you've done, and I'm so proud of you that you led this ENA through this most tumultuous times and taught us all how to rise.
When Ron texted me last year and said he had been elected to president of the ENA, we were super excited for him. We know how much he values this organization, and we couldn't have been happier. Shortly after that, the world went sideways, and our happiness kind of went to a little bit of concern. But ultimately, we knew Ron would be able to figure it out without the manual, and that the ENA would be in good hands. So congratulations, Ron, on a year well spent, and good job. On a personal note, we hear it's your birthday coming up, and it's really hard to believe that you are 51. We've known each other for 26, 7, 8 years. The years have really added up quickly. But anyway, as anyone who knows you, you do not act like a 51-year-old, and I mean that in the best possible way. You have an excitement for life and a youthfulness that we all admire. It's been a pleasure being your friend, and happy birthday, brother.
Happy birthday, Ron. We love you so much.
Hi, Ronnie. Happy birthday. I hope you have a great day. I just want to let you know how proud I am of you, and I know your parents are too. I'm sure Dad's looking down from heaven and just showing everybody up there how great of a guy you've turned out to be. Love you. Bye.
Congratulations, Ron. We are so proud of you. We just can't believe how awesome of a year this has been for you with the ENA as the president, and we're so grateful that you are also a part of this team. Thanks for everything you've done.
Happy birthday, Ron!
So what you doing?
I'm looking at these numbers and it just keeps elevating.
Holy cow, look at those numbers rise.
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of research and I don't really know what our options are.
I think there's really only one thing there is left to do.
Celebrate.
Ooh.
Happy birthday, Ron!
Happy 51st.
Jeff, wish Uncle Ron a happy birthday.
How old is he?
51.
How old is Dirt?
Hey, Charlie. Wish Uncle Ron a happy birthday.
How old is he?
51.
Does he get the senior discount?
Layla, how about a birthday message for Uncle Ron?
How old is he?
51.
51? That's pretty close to 100.
Hey, Gabs. Do you have a birthday message for Uncle Ron?
How old is he?
51.
Will you even be able to hear this message?
Hey, Kraus. Happy birthday and congratulations on a successful year as ENA president. And for the record, Memorial Day, 1994, I believe it was, I did not ruin your weekend.
Happy birthday, old man. Congrats on your year as ENA president.
We wanted to take a minute to let you know how proud we are of you and all the work you have done for ENA this year.
We know how much you've been looking forward to being in person this year, but we all know that you can be just as annoying virtually.
Your passion for nursing and the advancement of its professionals is unwavering and inspiring. I'll consider it our parenting success if our children find a career in which they find even half the fulfillment that you have found with nursing. We know this chapter of life is just your beginning and that your best is yet to come.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Mr. President. Anyway, let's get back to business. As of Wednesday, September 22nd at 8 a.m., there were 716 delegates who completed the credentialing procedures. Our bylaws require a majority of the delegates who have completed credentialing procedures to be present for a quorum. Delegates and past presidents. On the left side of the screen, you will see the voting window. Please select Present to be recognized as a delegate. This credentialing process is limited to only delegates and past presidents. Alternate delegates, we ask that you do not vote given your role here today. Delegates and past presidents, please make your selection now. We'll give you about 30 seconds here. All right, let's close the vote here and see those numbers. So the total number of delegates who have marked themselves present is 575. I move that the roll call of delegates hereby submitted be the official roll of the voting members of the 2021 General Assembly.
We will now vote on the roll call of delegates. Vote for or against on whether to accept the report. Can we see the results, please? "96% for, 3% against. The credentials report is accepted. It is now time for the General Assembly to debate and vote on the proposed bylaws amendment and the resolutions that were discussed this morning. Actually, yesterday, right? As a reminder, alternate delegates, see, I can fly even off the cuff here. That's good. Dan, he's over here like kicking himself because he didn't catch that. As a reminder, alternate delegates will not be able to speak on, or vote on the proposals. Delegates and past presidents can use the quick terms to enter their intent to speak in the chat box. Be sure to hit the gold send icon to send your message into the queue. I will announce the order in which delegates speak. When you are called upon, raise your hand in Zoom. The raise hand icon is located in the Participants tab. Please raise your hand so that the production staff here can enable your microphone and camera rights. Once the production staff has enabled your microphone and camera rights, you may start your video if you want to be on video, and unmute yourself. That's not an option, and then begin speaking. Once your turn to speak is over or your time has run out, the production team here will mute your microphone and disable your video. As always, please state your name, provide the name of your state council, or indicate if you are speaking on behalf of yourself. One other note, if you need clarity on any of the proposals we're about to debate or vote on, I encourage you to enter into the speaker queue to ask for clarifying questions, ensure that you have the information you need to make an informed decision. With that, I now recognize my buddy, Resolutions Committee Chair Dan Misa, who will provide an overview of the committee's report from yesterday. Dan?
Thanks, Ron, and happy birthday again. The Resolutions Committee met following the close of Tuesday's reference hearings and has posted the Resolutions Committee report to the General Assembly section of the ENA website. A link to the report can also be found on the LUMI homepage. Hopefully, you have had a chance to review this. Prior to the consideration of each proposal, I intend to share a synopsis of the committee's report on that proposal, including any amendments. At this time, I present for consideration, on behalf of the Resolutions Committee, the consent agenda, which includes the following proposals. GA 21-08, Training of the Emergency Care Assistive Personnel in the Emergency Department, and GA 21-09, Increased Community Resources.
Thank you, Dan. At this time, we will consider the consent agenda. The consent agenda allows the Assembly to quickly approve any proposals that do not need any further discussion. Any individual delegate may remove any proposal from the consent agenda. Removing a proposal will place it back onto the normal agenda for debate and vote this morning. If you wish to remove any of the proposals from the consent agenda, type remove along with the proposal's number into the speaking queue. As items are removed, I will announce this. So there will be no further need to additional delegates to submit requests to remove the same proposal again. We'll now take 45 seconds to allow for items to be removed from the consent agenda. All right. My script says it's 9:10 to adopt the consent agenda, but both amendments have been pulled from the consent agenda, so they'll be put in the order that they were numbered, so we'll just carry on. So then, I'm just looking at my script to make sure I don't miss anything. The left side of your screen, vote, okay. All right, now we'll move on to the proposal, debate, and voting. Let me remind you that if you experience technical issues, please use the live chat feature located on the landing page on the left side of your screen. As we debate the remaining proposals, delegates and past presidents may enter the queue by typing pro or con into the chat box. And again, be sure to hit the gold send icon to send your message into the queue. It is important that you indicate pro or con so that we keep alternating between pro and con as we do the speaking queue accordingly. All right, so make sure you do pro or con. The floor will be open for 10 minutes of discussion, and if speakers remain in the queue when the time expires, we will go ahead and take a vote on whether to extend the time for debate by 5 minutes. Reminder, that takes 2/3 vote. Once there are no speakers in the queue, and when the Assembly votes not to extend debate, then the vote is taken on the proposals. We'll kind of keep you so you know what you're voting on, all right? Once you're called upon to speak, please raise your hand in the Zoom to be given audio and camera rights. Each speaker is limited to 1 minute. For those gathered in a group, please mute your speakers on all your devices except the one in use by your recognized speaker. Do that now. Go ahead and mute your, there you go, speakers. Go ahead and disable them. We will now begin debate and vote, starting with proposal 21-01. I'm going to, Dan, for the committee recommendations. Thank you. So, Dan, on your committee recommendations for GA 21-01.
Thank you, Ron. The Resolutions Committee recommends approving GA 21-01 term limits for board members as presented.
Thanks, Dan. Now we'll ask the author of GA 21-01 to speak. Hang tight, we're switching people on podiums. Here we go.
Thank you, Mr. President. So just a reminder, so we do thank the delegation yesterday for the conversation on GA 21-01. I just want to remind you on why the board is asking for this change. Term limits are considered a governance best practice to encourage increased opportunity for diversity and inclusion in leadership, allowing for new ideas and new perspectives on the board with decision making. E&A will employ staggered terms as part of our term limits to enable that the board is to ensure a balance of continuity while avoiding stagnation that may occur with longer terms of service. The board looks forward to your discussion today, and we would ask that you support GA 21-01.
Great, thank you, Mike. Now we'll call for discussion. The first person in the queue is Adam Johnston. Adam? And the next would be David McDonald's on deck. Oh, make sure you raise your hand, your virtual Zoom hand. That makes it easier for the production staff to find you among the 500 and some 700 people there. All right, so raise your hand and you go to the top of the line there. All right, Adam, you there? Adam, it sounds like you're flying a plane.
All right, good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, good morning. This is Adam Johnson from North Dakota, speaking on behalf of the state delegation of North Dakota in support of GA 21-01. We feel this is the right step to ensure that our organization stays relevant and follows nonprofit and industry best practices. The IRS supports term limits as static board membership leads to unhealthy attitudes and allows boards to govern out of self-interest rather than community interest. The National Council of Nonprofits also includes term limits as a recommended best practice, citing the importance of fresh ideas and cautioning against the perils of board stagnation. Let's ensure that E&A remains a best practice organization. I urge you to support GA 21-01. Thank you.
Thank you, Adam. We'll recognize David McDonald now, and Jack Rogers, you are on deck. David, go ahead and raise your hand. Come off mute and talk when they're allowed to by the production staff. David, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm just waiting for it to unmute. This is David McDonald from North Carolina, speaking on behalf of myself. I'm speaking out against this. We've been trying to solve proposed term limits probably since I started becoming a delegate over 10 years ago. Again, I think this is a problem that we don't actually have. We're solving a problem we don't have. Who has been on the board for more than 6 or 7 years? I personally don't know anyone that has. The second problem I have with this is that a discussion was had yesterday and a proposal was made to add the term consecutive, and the Resolutions Committee ignored that comment by one of the delegates and has not proposed that as an amendment. Therefore, I will not be voting for this. I would wanted to have that discussion, but that discussion cannot be had now. That amendment cannot be proposed. So I'll be voting against this, and I would encourage others to do the same.
Thank you, David. Jack Rogers, Heidi Gilbert, you're on deck. Jack, go ahead and unmute. Jack, are you there? We can hear you.
Hey, Ron, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yep, absolutely. Go ahead, sir.
Hey, good morning, everybody. I'm Jack Rogers from the great state of Georgia. I'm speaking on behalf of the Georgia State Council delegation. We support GA 2101 as originally proposed, and doing some research and looking through the ENA site last night, I found a current 5-year plan document that basically says to ensure the organization's relevance in a changing environment to advance our mission, and that we should accomplish this by nurturing and growing a culture of talent consistent with our values. We should employ best practice in government and leadership. Numbers support the concept of limiting terms. According to the boardsource.org website, approximately 72% of not-for-profits in the United States have term limits in place for their leadership positions. Now, everything that we do clinically is infused with best practice and evidence-based material, and we believe now it's time for the association to do so administratively. Bottom line, it's all.
Thank you. Time has expired on Jack. Heidi Gilbert, you're up next. Anne-Marie Papa is on deck. So Heidi. Heidi, go ahead and raise your hand. Looks like you're still muted.
There we
Here
go.
Yep, thank you.
Hey there, Heidi Gilbert. I am speaking on behalf of the Oklahoma delegation. We may not be great, but we're okay. I am speaking out against this. There you go. Happy birthday. I'm speaking out against this resolution, as was noted before. Unlike some other entities that have term limits, ENA is special in that we have lifelong members of this organization. And I look at some of the newer, younger, fresher members of the board right now, namely somebody like Dustin, and say he is a lifelong member and would like to reapply or rerun for the board, say in 20 years later on in his career. I think that this is really pigeonholing people that cannot apply later on. And I would like to see consecutive added to that. And I would definitely vote for that. As it's written, I would urge people to vote no to this.
Thank you, Heidi. Anne-Marie, you're up. Dina, you're next. Anne-Marie Papa, go ahead and raise your hand. We can hear you.
Okay, great. Hi, everybody. I really miss seeing everybody's face. It's really hard to read the audience, but I'm voting in favor of this. We do everything like Jack said and Adam said from best practice, and we need new blood. We've got some wonderful, great new leaders. And just think, if you didn't do something like this, I could be president for 20 years. So think about it. Really think about how we really need to grow our talent and, you know, bring those people in and make our association vibrant. So I would encourage everybody to vote for.
Thank you, Anne-Marie. Dina, you're up. Ben Co, you're next on deck. So Dina. Dina, make sure your hand's raised. There we go. We can hear you now. Go ahead, Dina.
Awesome. Good morning, Dina Brescher from the great state of Delaware, speaking as the immediate past president. I have a question. As the the proposed amendment is written, if someone were to get elected to the board as a director for 3 years, successfully ran for secretary treasurer, would be their 4th year, and then lost an election for the president, would they be eligible to run for a 2nd term on the board?
Mike?
Yeah, so just want to understand the question correctly. So you're saying if they only had like 5 years on the board of previous service, would they be able to run for another term to have an additional time on the board? Is that correct?
Correct.
Yeah, so
because they technically wouldn't be eligible.
Yes. I'm being. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
they could get another term back on the board because they have not had 6 years. And so if they would get voted back on the board, they would continue that duration of that term that they would be voted in for.
So they would be eligible for
look
another
at-
3-year board term.
Right.
Okay. So they could potentially end up being on the board then for 8 years.
That is correct, yes.
Does that answer it, Dina?
Yep, thank you.
Okay. All right, thank you. Thanks, Mike.
Yep.
Ben, you're up. Go ahead and raise your hand. Ben, go ahead and raise your hand. Ben, we don't see your hand raised. Go ahead and raise your hand, and then so we can find you and then unmute you. All right, Ben, we're going to go ahead and move. Matt Powers is next. Matt, go ahead and raise your hand. Matt, you're unmuted.
All right, good morning. Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you, Matt. Go ahead, please.
Are you able to hear me?
Yep.
All right, good morning, everyone. So, and I agree also with what Adam had said and what Jack Rogers has said. Oh, Matt Powers, by the way, State of California, past president, also chair of the Nominations Elections Committee. With 2101, I do support this, just like Anne Marie said, getting new blood in. I feel that being on the board for 7 years, it's now our job to mentor the new blood that is going to come in, lead our association. You know, past board members can still, certainly be involved to really mentor those people with the association and support them. So, increase diversity, increase, member engagement are all good reasons why we should go ahead and vote yes on this bylaw. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Ellen Ruja, you're up next. And Barbara, I'm going to butcher your name and I apologize. Malozewski is on deck after Ellen. So Ellen. Ellen, make sure your hand's up. Go ahead and unmute.
Hi, this is Ellen. Can you hear me?
Yep, go ahead, Ellen, please.
Hi, this is Ellen. Can you hear me?
We can hear you, Ellen. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I can't hear him. Does he say yes?
Yes, go ahead, Ellen.
Thank you, Ron. Happy birthday. This is
Thank you.
Ellen Ruja from the great state. We're very grateful to be here with all the delegates and alternate in Florida. We did discuss this, and again, we are against this bylaw amendment. I think the one suggestion of, after 6 years that you could run again later on, and 10, 20 years later would have been an added plus for that. We're against this proposal. Thank you.
Thank you, Ellen. Barb M. You're up. And then Ben, we got you on deck here, sir. Barb M. Go ahead and then raise your hand. Barb? All right, Barb, we're going to move on to Ben. Ben Coe. Go ahead and raise your hands up.
ENA, and as immediate past president, we are opposed to this as written. Like the others have mentioned, we would like to see this written with a consecutive term limit. We believe that there's a wealth of knowledge and would like to see the opportunity later. We have a lot of members who may be a part of ENA and on the board, but then work and life responsibilities, but maybe at retirement, we have a little bit more time to dedicate to ENA. So we are opposed as written, as we would like to see this as consecutive limit, not a lifetime limit.
Thank you, Barb. Ben. Ben, looks like we have you unmuted. Again, just an option to remind everybody, if you're having trouble there, you can always use the phone option in the link. Ben, are you there? All right, let's go to Chelsea. Chelsea Collins. Chelsea, go ahead and raise your hand. We'll find you, unmute you.
Hi, Chelsea Collins from the state of Colorado, speaking on behalf of myself. I agree with the statements on the consecutive stuff. There are some members on the board currently who are in their early 30s and who are giving to the board currently and have a different view. And in 30 years, when in theory they should be able to retire, maybe they have different things that they could bring forward. I think if at the time the individuals don't want that individual in place, then I think that they will just not vote for them, or at least I hope so. So I think that we should keep this in mind. Also, just a point of concern, I guess, if we need new board votes and we need new blood and everything, then how come the immediate past presidents are automatically given delegate status? Just a thought.
Thank you, Chelsea. Next is Kevin McFarland. Kevin, go ahead and raise your hand.
Hi there, Kevin McFarland from the great state of Texas, representing myself. I am actually in support of this. I think I think as I think as Matt pointed out, the idea that if you've been on the board that long, it's time to start mentoring the next generation of people who are coming through. Start mentoring them, and you can still be an influence to the board as a past president or as a past board member. I think this is a good thing in helping bring in new blood to the organization and give a next generation of people a chance to serve this wonderful organization. So it's my opinion. I support this and encourage others to do as well. Thanks.
Thank you, Kevin. Ben Coe. Ben, we'll try you again here, sir. Ooh, sounds like maybe you're here.
This is Adam Flumi. Ben, you are unmuted right now, or we're unmuted. If we're not getting any audio from you, please just check your browser settings, and you're giving permission to your browser to access your microphones by using that padlock icon.
Thank you, Adam, for the reminder for everybody. Ben, as you're trying there, let's go to Pam Dressler. No, that sounded like Kevin. Pam? Pam Dressler, go ahead and raise your hand. Pam, are you there? All right, we'll go ahead and move to the next person. And I don't know why we have echo in the studio, but Jenny Ennis. Jenny Ennis, go ahead and raise your hand.
Hey, can you hear me?
I can. Please go ahead.
Okay, great.
Thank
I'm
you.
sorry, there was some delays there for things to respond. I'm Gigi Ennis from the very, very great state of Georgia, speaking on behalf of myself. To Chelsea's point a few minutes ago, I hesitate to support this resolution, although we support it as a state delegation. All of these young people that we've recruited onto the board that are doing such a great job, in 30 years, they are going to have some important perspective, and I don't want to lose that. In the past, the point has been made to this assembly that there are some younger folks that feel that everyone with experience should just move over, and I'm as against cronyism as anyone. However, I want to see a balance of experience as well as fresh perspective on our board moving forward.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Dustin Bass, go ahead and raise your hand and unmute. Dustin, can you hear me? Thank you. Yep, we can go ahead. Go ahead, please.
Okay. This is Dustin speaking on behalf of myself. I'm a current board member with ENA, and I am speaking in support of this amendment. And just because there is best practices out there that say this is the best way to guide our organization and from a governance perspective, but also knowing that in the future, as much as I love ENA and will continue to love ENA, there are other ways for me to serve, not necessarily being a board member, as I continue on throughout my career. And I see that, as I go forward. So while I appreciate all the perspectives, I am for this. Thanks.
Thank you, Dustin. Time has expired on the time to discuss on this proposal. Are there anybody in the queue? Several in the queue. Yeah, so several in the queue. So we need to vote whether to extend the time by 5 minutes. So we are voting on whether to extend the time by 5 minutes on debate on this proposal amendment to the bylaw. So that's what we're voting on now. So go ahead and vote pro or con to extend the time by 5 minutes for discussion on this amendment to the bylaws. Reminder, needs a 2/3 vote. About 5 more seconds. All right, if we can get the results, please. The results are 21.7% to extend, 78 to not extend by the time has expired on this amendment to the proposal to the amendment of the bylaws. So now we vote on the proposal of the bylaws, right? Now the vote is to vote on the proposal to amend the bylaws on GA 21-0 21-01. So that's what you're voting on. So go ahead and vote for GA 21-01, pro or con. Fifteen more seconds. All right, call the vote. For 49% and against 50. So the proposal to amend the bylaws fails. All right, next to GA 21-02, proposal to amend the bylaws, minimum term filled vacancies. I'd like to call, we go first to Dan Misa for the committee's recommendations on this.
Thanks, Ron.
Yep.
The Resolutions Committee recommends approving GA 21-02, excuse me, institute a minimum term for filled vacancies as presented.
Sorry about that, I was taking water. Now we call the author, Mike Hastings.
Thank you, Mr. President. We thank the delegation again for the conversation yesterday on GA 21-02. Why is the board asking for this change? As a board member at the national level, it takes typically about a year for you to really get developed and to understand what your role is. Just think, when you're at the state and chapter level and all of a sudden that you're on that board, it takes you a while to figure out what you're kind of doing and to get in that routine. The same thing at the national level. It takes about a year for you to really feel comfortable and understanding what you need to do as a board member. Eliminating the one-year terms really allows ENA to truly get and to invest in that person that is serving on the board so that way they can be successful in their role. So by filling these vacancies with less than 12 months or by more than 12 months, we're really allowing, again, that new board member to be successful as they serve their year and to be able to serve our association. And so we look forward to your discussion here today on this, and we ask that you support GA 21-02.
Great, thank you, Mike. Now discussion begins on GA 21-02. So enter the queue by typing pro or con. Remember, raise your hand when you're called upon, and we'll unmute you. Chair recognizes Ben Coe. Ben, go ahead and raise your hand.
Can you hear me now?
I can, Ben. There you are. Go ahead, please.
Okay, I had to switch the phone, and this is my issue and why I've said this is a point of personal privilege. The extreme technological difficulties of multiple members across the delegation that is currently present, I think is to a point that is showing that it is inappropriate for us to continue this business meeting and voting on proposals that are going to change the face of ENA. I don't know if I'm doing this quite the right way, but if I can introduce a motion to stop further voting today, I think that that is appropriate at this time to make sure that we are making the right choices for ENA, where everyone has the chance to have their voice heard and can be a part of the debate and discussion.
Thank you, Ben. All right, thanks, Ben. As the bylaw or the rules of the meeting were adopted yesterday, there are no amendments from the floor. Thank you. Next up is Patty Kuhn Howard. And no motions. Sorry about that. Next up is Patty Coons Howard.
Good morning. It's Patty Kuhn Howard from the state of Kentucky representing myself. Certainly, I'm in support of this because I believe that it really does help new board members understand the process, as has already been disseminated in this conversation. So I think it's important that we look at this best practice so that we can allow them to function in the very best manner. So I would encourage all of you to vote to support.
Thank you, Patty. Next up is Anne-Marie Papa. Anne-Marie Papa, go ahead and raise your hand.
Okay, got me?
Yes. Yep.
All right. Hey, me again, Anne-Marie Papa, and I forgot to introduce myself, past president from 2011 and from the state of Pennsylvania. I am pro this. I think when you are elected onto the board, and I think Chelsea Collins stated it very well yesterday when she said, you know, you get on a committee, you get on something for a year and you just get your feet wet and you're just getting ready to move and go, and then you come off. So I think, you know, we invest a lot of time and money and effort in the member that's elected. The members invest a lot of time and effort in getting their candidates elected. So I think that we should do this with the 3 years, and I would say, please vote pro for this one. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Anne-Marie. Adam Johnson, you're up, and then Joanne Navarrete is on deck. So Adam?
Good morning. This is Adam Johnson again from North Dakota. I am speaking on behalf of the North Dakota delegation. The North Dakota delegation supports GA 21-02. Our state recently changed for our officers to 2-year officer terms, and even on a state level, that change has been great for us because we even found here that that first year really is just simply spent learning. So I urge you to support GA 21-02 to give our ENA Board of Directors members the best opportunity to be successful in their role and to maximize the resources that ENA puts into building our leaders.
Thank you, Adam. Joanne, you're up. Go ahead and raise your hand.
Hi, my name is Joanne Navarrete with Arizona State Council. I am speaking on behalf of myself. Our state council did vote to support this amendment. I dissented, however, because as Ron said yesterday, the strength of our organization is in our members. 12 months seems like a long time to have a vacancy on the board with as much work is done by the board members. 6 months that's currently in the bylaws seems adequate time. I appreciate and understand all of the comments about onboarding and what have you, but the members that are running all have experience working with national. So I am going to vote no, respectfully. Thank you, Ron, and happy birthday.
Thank you, Joanne. So seeing no further speakers in the queue. Oh, excuse me. We have one person. A member of the board of directors. Ryan.
Hey,
Ryan, go ahead. Yep.
Thanks. Hi, Ryan Oglesby from the great state of Florida and also the board of directors. I just wanted to speak in favor of this amendment in that I did serve a 1-year term and can also attest, as others have, to the fact that 1 year is a challenge and learning, getting your feet wet. And so I would encourage people to support this and appreciate everyone's discussion today.
Thank you, Ryan. Seeing no further speakers, let's go on to the vote of GA 21-02, proposal to amend the bylaws minimum term for filled vacancies. Vote pro or con. Ten more seconds. Go ahead and have the results, please. %76% pro, 23% con. The proposal carries. Now moving on to, or adopted, I guess. I'm getting the proper term here on my text as adopted. So, all right. So that GA 21-02 is adopted. Now moving on to GA 21-03, proposal to amend bylaws structure of the Nominations and Elections Committee. Dan, could you give us the Resolutions Committee report, please?
Thank you. The Resolutions Committee recommends, excuse me, approving GA 21-03, proposal to restructure the Nominations and Elections Committee as amended. The proposal has been amended based on feedback from the delegation to provide greater clarity on the appointment process and the need to ensure geographical representation. Therefore, the Resolutions Committee moves the amendment as presented.
Thank you, Dan. Would like to call the author, my friend Mike Hastings, to the podium, lectern, whatever it's called. Yes, go ahead, Mike.
All right, thank you, Mr. President. So again, the board thanks the delegation for their discussion yesterday on GA 21-03. The ENA Board of Directors does support the amended amendment that is presented by the Resolution Committee, which gives some more details as what we heard your concern, and really around making sure that the regions are represented. This also does give flexibility as well to ensure that our international delegates are also represented during this process. We understand that some of you voiced that you really wanted those details. However, in the bylaws are really meant to be more generic and give us more structure, not to have really the details from the operational procedures. And so that's why a lot of the details are not presented in the bylaws, because again, we need to keep them general. And this really is consistent with the rest of our bylaws as we address our committees. Again, the whole goal of this is to minimize conflict of interest and to ensure that the NEC is able to conduct a fair election process with all members being involved in that process. Again, if this bylaws were to go through, this whole process would be vetted with the NEC and how we structure that. And then that information obviously will come out to you as members as well. So there's nothing hidden about this. You know, it will be all transparent and what that process looks like. And we would ask that you support GA 21-03. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Now we'll have discussion on GA 21-03. Ann Manton, you're up, and then Mary Wilson is on deck. So Ann, raise your hand. Mary, you can raise your hand too, so we can start finding you in the queue. But Ann, you're up first. So Ann, you're up to speak on the amendment, proposed amendment to the bylaws. And we're looking for you here. I believe it's Marie Wilson's probably on deck, or Mary Wilson, as says on the screen, but I'm guessing it's. And then Patty Kuhnshauer after that. So, Ann, we'll go ahead and move to Mary Wilson. you're up. Patty, you're on deck. We can hear somebody come off there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who's this? Mary or Marie, is that you? All right, we'll move on. Patty Coons Howard. Frida Lyon, you're on deck. Patty Coons Howard's up. Go ahead and raise your hand so we can find you. Frida, go ahead and raise your hand as well so we can find you.
Hi, it's Patty Coons Howard from Kentucky. Again, a past president representing myself. I wanted to speak in support of this particular proposal because I believe it's in the best interest of the organization. Certainly, as you heard yesterday, we should have trust in our board members in terms of their ability to actually make decisions about nominations and elections committee member appointments. And I believe it is a best practice and really helps us in the long term. And I do also agree with the regional support. I think that's a great modification. Thank you.
Thank you, Patty. Frida Lyon. And then Ann Manton, you're up on deck. Frida, go ahead and raise your hand. Frida, go ahead and raise your hand. And also, Ann Manton, go ahead and please raise your hand as well because you're up on deck after Frida. Frida, you're muted, it says. Frida's unmuted.
So Frida, it looks like you're unmuted right now, but we're not getting any audio from you. So if you would please just check your browser settings by clicking on the padlock in the address bar and making sure you're giving your browser permissions to access your microphone. Thank you.
Great. So we'll go to Ann Manton. Please, Ann. And Roseanne Mahoney, if you could raise your hand, please. You're up on deck. So Ann Manton. And just a reminder.
I'm trying to get unmuted.
Oh, yeah. There you are. Is this Ann?
Yeah, I hope so.
You all right?
Is it?
Yes.
I have been clicking away.
No, you're fine. Go ahead, please.
Okay, thank you so much, and happy birthday, Ron. Ann Manton, past president, speaking for myself, and I believe for ENA membership. Because a minute isn't a long time, I'm going to get to the point and say the most important thing first. Never, never, ever willingly give up your right to vote on anything. And that's what's being asked of you here. Emergency nurses, as you know, are the most creative professionals when it comes to figuring out workarounds. We've all done workarounds. There are many possible solutions to the problem that's been presented here in terms of committee members being able to fully carry out their role. Matt Powers mentioned yesterday a reasonable workaround. There's not a need for this problem to deny members votes for nominations in elected committee. And I certainly appreciate the efforts of the resolutions committee, but it comes down to no matter how you slice it, you.
Thank you, Ann. Roseanne, you're up. And just a reminder to everybody, we are discussing on the amendment to 21-03. So the amendment that you see on your screen there. So Roseanne Mahoney, you're up. Anne Marie Papa, you're on deck. Roseanne, go ahead and raise your hand. Anne Marie, if you could raise your hand too, we'll get to you after Roseanne here. Roseanne, looks like you're unmuted. All right, Roseanne, check your settings there at the top. Oh. Roseanne, is that you?
Hello. This is Roseanne. I just feel compelled to voice my concerns with this amendment. Know how it is even rewritten, and it seems that taking away the real this amendment has the potential to lead to bias. Believe that the elected members of the committee, as we have, vet the candidates and his or her credential, but we still must protect our member. I am opposed to this.
Thank you, Roseanne. Anne Marie Papa, you're up. Barb Gibson, you're on deck. So
Okie doke.
Oh,
Hi, I'm here. Yeah, here I am again. You know, I really struggled with this one because I respectfully disagree with my colleague, Ann Manton. I don't really think we're taking away the members' right to vote. We're voting for the leaders of our organization, president, president-elect, secretary-treasurer, and our directors. We vote that we have trust and confidence in them to lead our organization. Why do I need to have another vote for a committee that we don't vote for the committee members for the awards committee? We don't vote for the committees that we have for position statements. And I think that we really need to empower our board. And I feel like by not supporting this, that I'm slapping the board in the face and saying, oh yeah, I trust you for everything else, but I don't trust you to say where the future of our organization is going and what we need to do to tap in and get really wonderful candidates for the board. And then when we get those candidates, the members have the right to vote. So again, I respectfully disagree with Ann's position. And I think that we have a voice. We speak for ourselves and each other and the members when we vote for our board. And I have confidence.
Thank you, Anne Marie. Time expired there. Barb Gibson. Barbie, you're up. And then Vanessa Gorman, you're on deck. Barb, go ahead and raise your hand. And Vanessa, go ahead and raise your hand, then we can call on you. So Barb, you're up. Vanessa's on deck. It looks like you're still muted, Barb. Looks like you're still muted.
All right, did it unmute it now?
Yes, I can hear you now, and myself. All right, Barb, we're going to go ahead and move to Vanessa Gorman.
You can unmute yourself because
All right, Barb, we're going to move to Vanessa Gorman. Vanessa, can you raise your hand? Matt Powers, you're on deck. Vanessa, go ahead and raise your hand. Matt Powers, go ahead and raise your hand. Vanessa, we're going to call upon you. So just a reminder, I'm getting a couple things for everybody here. So let's just pause for a second. The timer stopped, all that. Let's pause for a second. The production crew on this side is saying that people in large groups were having a little bit of trouble with that. Remember to only raise your hand when you're called upon. We have a ton of raised hands, so I think probably what's happening in the production is they can't find you in the queue. So only raise your hand when you're called upon to raise your hand. So I will call upon you to raise your hand to talk, and then I'll also call you to raise your hand when you're on deck, so the next person up as well. And just a reminder that, that we put those standing rules in order, from a standpoint of dealing with technical issues, etc. And even though it's a less than perfect environment right now, we are doing some business of the association, so we are moving forward with some business. So we are doing some great work here. So just everybody take a deep breath. We're going to get this figured out. So again, everybody is in large groups. Again, make sure you close out all your browsers, that you're not using any browsers except for what you're doing. Only raise your hand. We see a lot of hands raised. Only raise your hand if you're getting called upon or you're on deck. So I will call upon you to raise your hand when you're speaking, and I'll call to raise your hand when you're on deck. So really, technically, there should be only 2 hands raised at any given time in that. So that will make it easier and quicker for the production staff here to find you in the queue, unmute you, and allow you have video and voice opportunities. So let's go back to, let's try Barb. Barb, go ahead and raise your hand. Vanessa Gorman, go ahead and raise your hand as on deck. But Barbara? Barbara, we're hearing you there. It sounds like if you're in a group of people, there's other people in the room that have their audio on. If you're in a group of people with your audio on your computer, click off your audio. So mute your speaker. Because what you're doing
This is
getting
Barbara
feedback.
Gibson from the state of Tennessee, representing myself.
Thank you.
I am in a group, but they have all muted their. I am against this proposal because of the way that it's structured of take a vote from the members. I feel the in voting and representing the National Committee does a great. Also, this is not an issue that I feel that we're talking about on a platform like we are right now, where time limit is very low, communications, and the whole workings of this is very poor. For cannot all speak out against this very properly. I know that they're saying that this is the way other organizations run, but it's taking one vote away from.
All right. Next is Matt Powers. Please raise your hand to speak. And on deck is Ben Coe. Matt Powers, go ahead, please.
All right, Matt Powers again, ENA past president and from the state of California, also chair of the current Nominations Elections Committee, speaking on behalf of the Nominations and Elections Committee. First of all, going back to what Ben Coe has said before is, and then Mark Engel, our association coach that we had 3-4 years back for many years with our time on the board, always talked about having a healthy discussion when it comes to bylaws and not to take them with a grain of salt. I'm thinking in this platform right now that we have where we cannot really clearly understand and everything's cutting out with the technology challenges, that it would be better to have this discussion and hopefully next year in Denver. When it's a conflict of interest, it comes up. There's only the only conflict is abated by the membership, only having to do with the rerunning of nominations and elections.
Thank you,
Committee,
Matt.
we have a solution. So with that, I just encourage a no vote, just so we can have. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Ben Coe, go ahead and raise your hand, and we'll call upon you. Kelly Allen, go ahead and raise your hand. You're on deck, Kelly. So Ben, you're up.
Okay, can everyone hear me now?
We can, Ben. Go ahead, please.
Okay, so I would like to speak out this amendment as well. As has been pointed out by several other people, that this does take away the ability for us as members to choose who's going to have the opportunity in the future to lead us. This amendment sets out the ability for the national board to choose who has the ability to run and join the national board. It takes away the ability of the committee to elect its own leader by appointing a bylaws scripted leader for the committee, rather than even allowing the committee itself to choose how the committee is going to function on its own. Again, with my points of earlier, we're having difficulty discussing anything today, and I would encourage everyone to vote no on this amendment.
Thank you, Ben. Kelly Allen, you're up. Go ahead and raise your hand. Sally Snow, you're on deck. Go ahead and raise your hand, please, Sally. Kelly, you're up to speak, please. Kelly? Kelly Allen. It looks like you're muted, Kelly. All right, we'll move to Sally Snow. Sally Snow, please raise your hand. Deborah Clark, you're on deck. So Sally, please raise your hand and speak when unmuted. And then Deborah Clark, we're going to call upon you next after Sally. Sally?
Okay, I just have a question for the in a person declaring themselves as what this proposal does put the people who have the most knowledge has come to distrust the board so badly. I understand why we look at 9% of our 50,000 members voting, and if those 9% about whether they think one or the other candidate is about who's best to serve is the sitting board of directors. Thank you.
Thank you, Sally. Deborah Clark, you're up. Dan Nadworthy, you're on deck. Dan, so Deborah Clark, you're up. Dan, go ahead and raise your hand as well. Deb, you're the one to speak, please. I'm sorry, Deborah. Deborah, it sounds like you're off mute. We can hear you. Deborah? Oh, this is So Kelly Allen. Sorry, I've been told that this is Kelly that's been unmuted. Kelly Allen, go ahead and speak, please. Kelly? All right, the next one I have in queue is Deborah Clark. Deborah Clark, you're up to speak. Dan, you're on deck. Dan Nadworthy, you're on deck. Go ahead and raise your hand, Dan. Deborah Clark, please. It's showing on our end that everybody's muted when you were called upon and you're opening up. So just double check that. Deborah, you're unmuted now, it looks like.
Hi, Deborah. This is Adam with Lumi. If you just want to double check your browser permissions by clicking on the padlock and making sure you allow your browser to access your microphone. Thank you.
Deborah, you there? All right, let's move on to Dan Nadworthy. Dan, go ahead and raise your hand. Nancy Shelton, go ahead and raise your hand.
Good morning, Ron. Good morning, everybody.
Morning,
Dan
Dan.
Nadworny from Massachusetts. Question for the parliamentarian and for the group. Hearing from many people, I think I'm one of these, about the need for a discussion about the ability to make a motion to table this question until 2022.
Yeah. 1 second, Dan. I'm going to check with the parliamentarian. I'm going to step off camera real quick. I'll be right back. All right, so I'm back. So after talking with the parliamentarian, the standing rules do not allow any motions to be brought forward from the floor. So your options are to vote yes or no. Thanks, Dan. Nancy Shelton. And it looks like Michael Moon, you're on deck. So Nancy, raise your hand. Nancy, your hand is not raised. All right, everybody, we're going to take a 30-second break. The clock is going to pause. We're going to try to do some issues on this end. I apologize to everybody. So just a reminder, hang tight here. It looks like I have Nancy up and Michael Moon after that. Kelly, we'll get to you if we can here, and then Deborah Clark, too. So those are the 4 people that we're looking for. So just to let you know, if you are not one of those 4 people, do not raise your hand.
So wherever you're at.
And so just hang tight here. We're going to pause. And as a reminder, we are discussing the amendment for GA 21-03. That's what the discussion is on right now. We're discussing the amendment, the proposed amendment to GA 21-03. Not the proposal for the amendment of the bylaws, but the amendment to the amendment. So hang tight here. Time out. Look, seeing every the queue, everybody is con. So I'm going to propose as the chair to go ahead and vote to vote. But so guys, I think we should have discussion now, but since there are a bunch of people who want to speak con, we want to. Okay. Great. Thank you, everybody. We're back. All right. After discussion with the parliamentarian, here's what I'm going to propose as the chair. We're looking at the queue. Everybody in the queue is con to the amendment, to the proposal amendment to the bylaws. So remind me, we're discussing the amendment to this. So everybody is con. So I am offering a suggestion and to the group is we could vote to end discussion now. So I'm proposing to the group to go ahead and put a vote to end discussion. Now, there's only like 3 minutes left, 3:05, I think is what the timer says. So I'm going to put up to a vote to the group to end discussion on this amendment to the proposal amendment by the bylaws. So first of all, we're voting to end discussion. So if you're in favor of ending discussion, press pro. If you want to continue the discussion, press con. Five seconds. All right, go ahead and see the results, please. So 86% pro to end the discussion, 13% to con to continue on. So the motion carries to end discussion on the proposed amendment to the proposal amendment of the bylaws. So now we're going to vote on the amendment of the bylaw. So here's what, just so everybody's clear, we have the GA 2103, that's the whole thing, but we're actually just voting on the amendment to GA 21-03. So the vote is, do you support the amendment to GA 21-03? Pro if you do, con if you do not. A reminder, we're only voting on the amendment to the actual proposal to amend the bylaws. 15 seconds. Five more seconds. All right, go ahead and see the results, please. All right, 34% pro, 65% con. The amendment to the proposed amendment to the bylaws does not pass. So now we bring it up to the entire proposal of GA 21-03. So now what we're voting on is GA 21-03, the proposal to amend the bylaws, the whole thing. All right, so that's what we're voting on now. So vote pro to adopt the proposal to the amendment of the bylaws, or con not to adopt. Go ahead and vote now, pro or con. Ten more seconds. Okay, can we have the results, please? We have 20% pro, 79% con. The proposal for the amendment bylaws fails. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for being patient and getting through that. I know it's frustrating on everybody's end. So what we're going to do, we're going to take a Zen moment. All right, so we're going to take a 30-minute break. We're going to check things on our end. I encourage everybody to check things on your end as well. Everybody will just kind of Control-Alt-Delete. We'll do this all together. So 30-minute break. So what we'll do is, I'm not going to be exactly and do 2 after the hour, but let's go ahead and go at the top of the hour, wherever you are. The top of the hour is when we'll reconvene. So thank you so much, everybody.
You will be required to use either a laptop computer or a desktop computer with speakers and a microphone. It is recommended to use Google Chrome if possible, but these other web browsers are also supported. New Microsoft Edge, also known as Chromium, and Firefox. It is also recommended to update to the newest versions of these browsers for the best experience. For virtual attendees, mobile devices including iPhones, Androids, iPads, and other tablets are not supported. The web browsers Safari, Legacy Edge, and Internet Explorer are also not supported. If you will be attending the meeting on-site and in person, you will simply need an Internet-enabled device to cast your vote and join the speaker queue. You may use a mobile phone, iPhone, iPad, tablet, or any other device that has a web browser and can access the internet. To join the virtual meeting, click on the link you will receive from your event organizer. If you're a voting delegate, click on the I am a voting delegate or I have a login button and click Continue. Log in by typing your username in the top field, the password in the bottom field, and then click Login to log in to the platform. If you are a guest or observer only, click on the I am a guest or I am an observer button and click Continue. Enter your name and email address, then click Continue to log into the platform. No credentials are required. Please note, if your organization isn't allowing guest access through the platform, you will only be prompted to enter your username and password. If you're having trouble logging in or do not know your assigned username and password, you can click the Having Trouble Logging In text or caret to see the information to receive technical support from your organization. Once logged into the virtual meeting platform, and if you are attending the meeting on site and in person, you will listen to the meeting on stage and in front of the room. If you are temporarily prompted to join the Zoom meeting, please do not connect to the Zoom meeting. If you are a virtual attendee at home, there are 2 additional steps you must take in order to connect to the Zoom meeting inside the platform so that you can listen to the meeting remotely. Please note this is a little different than just joining a normal Zoom meeting from your web browser. Step 1 is to click Allow from the white pop-up box in the left side of your screen. This will give your browser permission to use your camera and microphone, should you wish to speak from the floor during the virtual meeting. You will only see this pop up the first time you log in. Step 2 is to click the blue Join button from the Zoom panel on the right side of the screen to listen to the meeting proceedings. You will then see and hear the meeting in the Zoom panel. Now that everyone is logged into the virtual meeting platform and ready to participate in the meeting, let's review the virtual platform layout. Virtual attendees at home on a laptop or desktop computer will have a split screen view with 2 panels. The right panel of the platform is the Zoom panel where virtual attendees will listen to the meeting, see the presentations, and watch any videos or speakers. The left panel of the platform is the Lumi side with various modules available to you. There is also a menu on the left side of the screen confirming your login details. In-person attendees likely will not have the Zoom panel and will only have the Lumi panel with various modules. Once again, if you do see the Zoom panel, please do not connect to the Zoom meeting. Please watch the meeting live in front of the room. The main screen is the home page. It will have some instructions on how to use the virtual platform, how to contact technical support, and may also have links to handouts and reports. There may be resource documents in the virtual platform as well. To view the documents, click on the document icon located in the top bar. If you're on a mobile device, you may need to click on the arrow button to scroll through the top menu to find the documents icon. Then select the document you would like to view. You may download it for viewing later outside of the platform. Once you are finished reading the document, simply click on the X icon to close the document or the home icon to go back to the home page. Speaking during the virtual meeting is a multi-step process, as you will need to enter a speaker queue first before being recognized to speak. Step 1 for all virtual and in-person attendees is to join the speaker queue. To join the queue, click the messaging icon in the top menu bar. Type in what you would like to speak about in the text box at the top of the screen. You will see a legend of what action items are available that you should type in on your screen. After typing in your intention to speak, press the send arrow located to the right of your message and you will receive a quick confirmation message that says received. Please make sure you do type in your request to speak and that you see a received message at the bottom of your screen. You have now completed the first step and joined the speaker queue. Please wait for your turn to speak. Step 2 is to speak from a microphone. For in-person attendees, after being called upon by the chair, walk to a microphone in the room so that you may speak from the floor. For virtual attendees at home, after being called upon by the chair, raise your hand in Zoom. Once you have raised your hand in Zoom, you will receive a pop-up message from the host in the Zoom panel that will allow you to unmute your microphone. Click on the blue button that says Unmute, then announce yourself and begin speaking. Raising your hand in Zoom makes it easier for the production team to find you in the list of attendees and prompt you to unmute your microphone. To raise your hand in Zoom, look at the Zoom panel on the right side of the screen. Your Raise Hand button may be on the Zoom screen at the bottom. If it's not, then you will need to click the Participants button to open the participants list. The Raise Hand button is located at the bottom of the Participants panel. Finally, click the Raised Hand button to raise your hand. Please be aware if you raise your hand in Zoom or walk to a microphone in the room but do not enter the speaker queue in the virtual platform by typing in your intention to speak, you will not be acknowledged. So please do not raise your hand in Zoom or approach a microphone in the room unless you are asked to do so by the chair. You can go back to the home page at any time by clicking the home icon. The Lumi panel is also where you will vote. If you are an eligible voting delegate, when asked to vote, the ballot will automatically appear in the Lumi panel. To cast your vote, simply click on your choice and it will be highlighted. You will see a confirmation of your vote on your screen. To change your vote, simply make a new selection. You can change your vote as many times as required until the voting is closed. Once voting is closed, you will not be able to make another selection and only the last selection is counted. To cast your vote for a ballot when multiple selections are possible, click your choices and they will be highlighted. Once you have made the appropriate amount of selections, you must click the Send button in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen to submit your vote. If you would like to change your vote, simply click the Cancel button and select your new choices. You can change your vote as many times as required until the voting is closed. Once voting is closed, you will not be able to make another selection and only the last selections are counted. Here are a few pro tips for virtual attendees at home using the virtual meeting platform on a laptop or desktop computer. Pro tip number 1. How to hide the left menu pane. You can click on the 3 lines or hamburger icon in the upper left-hand corner to hide the menu on the left and make the center of the virtual platform larger. Click on the hamburger icon again to bring the menu back out later if needed. Pro tip number 2. Maximize Zoom using the Maximize icon in the Zoom bar. The Zoom panel can be maximized by clicking on the Maximize icon in the right of the Zoom bar, as you can see here. With Zoom taking up your full screen, text and video will appear larger. To go back to a normal view, click the X in the right of the Zoom bar. This concludes the overview of the Lumi platform. We are looking forward to your successful virtual or hybrid meeting with your organization on the Lumi virtual platform. Welcome to an overview of the Lumi virtual meeting platform. To fully take part in the virtual meetings as a virtual attendee, such as participating at home, you will be required to use either a laptop computer or a desktop computer with speakers and a microphone. It is recommended to use Google Chrome if possible, but these other web browsers are also supported: New Microsoft Edge, also known as Chromium, and Firefox. It is also recommended to update to the newest versions of these browsers for the best experience. For virtual attendees, mobile devices including iPhones, Androids, iPads,
Rouse General Assembly, take two.
Greatest gift ever.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's fun. All right, so I don't need these people. Fresh sheet.
All right, start anew.
Oh, I need to get this up. Everybody, welcome back. I have something in the teleprompter here, but I'm going to do this. Ron Kraus, General Assembly, ENA, take two. All right, thank you for your patience this morning as we continue to carry out the business of the association. So thank you very much. I was telling everybody during the break that, I don't know if you guys have seen the T-Mobile commercial. The one I think about is Tom Brady and Rob Gronkowski when he's talking, it's like cutting out. And then he realizes he wants to stay on vacation, but he realizes he commits to go ahead and play with him in Tampa Bay. Anyway, so here we are. We're going to try this again. Everybody, enjoy the patience. And I did tell the people here too as well, like, let's put it in perspective. This is very important business. However, we do not have a 4-year-old child in front of us that is coding. And so at the end of the day, it's all good. So here we are. Let's reset and put ourselves in perspectives. So as we debate the remaining proposals, delegates and past presidents may enter the queue by typing pro or con into the chat box. Be sure to hit the gold send icon to send your message into the queue. It's important to indicate pro or con so we can alternate the speaking queue accordingly. The floor is open for 10 minutes of discussion, and if speakers remain in the queue when the time expires, we will take a vote on whether to extend the time by debate by 5 minutes. A reminder, that takes to 2/3 a vote. Once there are no speakers in the queue, or when the assembly votes not to extend the debate, then the vote is taken on the proposal. Once you are called upon to speak, please raise your hand in Zoom to be given the audio and camera rights. Each speaker is limited to 1 minute. For those gathered in the group, please mute the speakers on all the devices except for the one used by the recognized speaker. And a reminder too, I think during the break, there was on the screen was call-in instructions for the phone. Actually, that might be the better option to use. Try your phone option and go ahead and follow those. And I think I believe it's on the left hand. I think it's on the instruction page as well. So the one thing is, like, sometimes you see people call into a Zoom meeting and all you see is a number. If you follow those exact things where it says call me, we'll know who you are in that queue then. So just kind of follow those easy instructions. I think it's like 4 or 5 steps. So here we go. All right. We will next consider proposal GA21-04, Federal Nurse Practice Act and Licensing the USA. And I'd like to call back Dan, the chair of the Resolutions Committee. Dan?
Thanks, Mr. President. The Resolutions Committee recommends approving GA 21-04, Federal Nurse Practice Act and Licensing in the United States of America, as amended. The committee amended the proposal to remove the resolve clause related to federal licensure based on feedback heard from the delegation. Therefore, the committee moves the amendment.
Great, thank you. Call upon the authors to speak on the amendment or the proposal. Do we have a speaker for the author? Oh.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
We can. Go ahead, please.
Good morning, Mr. President. My name is Jemla Rizik, and I am one of the co-authors of this. I would like to move for, I would like to ask for a point of order. I'm requesting that the General Assembly vote first on the proposed changes as recommended by the committee.
Yes, we will. But if you want to discuss it beforehand, we can certainly do that as the author.
So I believe in supporting the voice of the delegation, and the only way to do that is to get a vote first based off of the recommendations from the resolution committee to this resolution.
Gotcha. So that's my fault on my end. So we'll call you back after we discuss the proposed amendment to the proposed resolution. So that is my bad. I stand corrected. So we will call you back as the author once we have a discussion on the proposed amendment for the proposal. So we'll get you back so you can go ahead and hang up. Thank you. All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to debate on have a discussion on the proposed amendment to the resolution. So if you want to speak, you want to vote pro or con, just put in pro or con into the speaker queue, and then that's how we'll roll with you guys. So we're just checking in the queue, just kind of hanging out. See no one yet? All right, seeing nobody in the queue, we'll go ahead and vote on the amendment of the, oh, we have one person in. One second, I'm getting the name. Dan Nadworthy. Dan Nadworthy, go ahead and raise your hand, or you can call on the phone. However you choose. You were doing okay with the hand raise thing earlier, so please go ahead.
Good morning, everybody.
Morning, Dan.
All right, good morning, everybody. So I just want to make a comment here. So the point of this amendment in the resolution was to add the work of a national body. By removing the first resolved, we're leaving this at a place where the ENA only supports furthering of state licensure compacts. However, the ENA is already listed as a sponsor of the National Nurse Licensing Compact Act. So it seems, at least from my perspective, that removing the first resolve makes this resolution a support of what we've already done as an organization, unless I'm missing a point from government affairs.
Thank you, Dan. Anybody else? All right, none. So we're going to go ahead. Oh, we got one more. Sorry. Oh, board. Somebody from the board of directors calling.
Hi, Ron. This is Ryan speaking on behalf of the board. We would support this recommendation from the resolutions committee in removing this resolved clause. Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan. Seeing nobody else in the speaker queue, let's go ahead and vote. So we're voting on the proposed amendment. If you vote for, write pro. If you vote against, write con. We'll go ahead and vote now. Ten seconds. All right, go ahead and have the results, please. %70 pro, 29% con. The motion carries. So the proposal amendment to the resolution proposal has been amended. Thank you for the wording on that. Now we'll call back the author to speak on the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. President. I appreciate everyone's vote. Again, I do believe in supporting the voice of the delegation, and so I appreciate the vote. However, I am asking that a recommendation be changed, or a recommendation be made to change the title of the resolution based on the vote from General Assembly.
We can't. Thank you. All right. So we're open discussion for GA 21-04. Go ahead and put in the queue con or pro when you put in to discuss. So just so we've got kind of some buzz off stage here with the parliamentarian and our attorney. So what we're looking at is, does the title matter, or we can make the title make it what we can. So it doesn't change it. So we can make that to the author's comment and suggestion. We don't ever use the title ever, I've been told by governance officials. So yes, to the author's point, we can change that title to make it congruent with the adoption of the amendment. Michael Moon, you are up, sir. Michael?
Okay, sorry, it's just taking a few minutes to unmute.
All right, go ahead.
Yes, so happy birthday, by the way, Ron.
Thanks,
so I want to say I'm in support of this. I think we need to try and have as much flexibility of moving between states as possible. I do see that I would make a recommendation that the board think about how we might also work with the National Council of State Boards of Nursing to facilitate this process. But in regards to the APRNs in particular, we struggle with the National Council of State Boards of Nursing of getting any kind of compact language designed for APRN. So while I know we support the compact we have in the past, this is going to be an ongoing issue, and the pandemic has really highlighted the need of flexibility to move in and out between the states. So I support this, but I think we need to also consider taking it further as we work with strategic planning. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Michael. Adam Johnston.
Good morning. This is Adam Johnston from North Dakota speaking on behalf of myself. I feel that with the adoption of the amendment, which we just did, that this resolution is no longer asking for anything from ENA. To echo Dan's comments from the discussion on the amendment itself, looking at the amended resolution, this appears to ask ENA to continue doing something that we are already doing. So because of that, I oppose passing this resolution, and I would personally appreciate it if the board would provide the opportunity, as we did earlier today.
Okay, thank you, Adam. No one else in the queue. And just a reminder to everybody, just kind of to put it into content and focus. Remember, we're only voting on the resolve clauses, so not all the other content inside. So to go back to the title, etc. So really, it's the resolve. So it's the action that you're asking ENA to take is what we're voting on. So, all right. So seeing nobody else in the queue, we will go ahead and call the vote for GA 21-04. So put in vote pro or con. So a reminder, we are voted on the amended proposal. 20 more seconds. All right, we have the results, please. Results 73 for, 26% against. Adoption of GA 21-04 as amended passes. Now we move on to GA 21-05, CAT and course in advanced trauma nursing in the classroom. I turn it over to Dan.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Resolutions Committee recommends approving GA 21-05, CAT and course in advanced trauma nursing in the classroom as presented.
Thank you, Dan. So we'll open up the discussion for GA 21-05. Again, put in the queue, pro or con. Oh, call the author. Gosh. See, we're halfway through. I'll probably get it by the end here. All right, so we're going to call the author to speak on GA 21-05. Thank you for the reminder. So we have the author like to speak. Eric, I think you might be the one speaking. Are you there? Hand raised. Eric's hand raised. You're muted.
Hey, Eric, this is Adam with Lumi. It looks like you're unmuted at this point, but we're not getting any audio from you. So again, just want to check those browser permissions by clicking that padlock in the address bar and making sure you're allowing access to your microphone. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's move to Shantae Harris. Shantae, are you there? You're next in the queue. Shantae, go ahead and raise your hand. And Keith Dawson, you're on deck, sir. So Shantae.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yep.
Unmute your microphone. Okay.
Yeah, Shantae, we heard you.
With equity for TNC and EMPC, I have taught approximately 100 classes. As a nurse entrepreneur, I'm afforded the opportunity to teach students from the world. In nursing education, I believe, as most would agree, that the delivery of the course content matters. Just a testament to the success of a course to be a revenue generator. The ENA did a great job moving TNCC and ENPC to live, virtual, and hybrid formats. We have the potential with Catton to do the same. We have an opportunity for extensive rebranding. Thank you.
Thank you, Shantae. Keith Dawson, you're up. Go ahead and raise your hand and get called upon. Laura Gallagher, you are on deck. So go ahead and raise your hand, Laura. So we should have 2 hands raised. Keith, go ahead.
Yes, good morning, everybody. My name is Keith Dawson, and I am from the Peach State of Georgia. And I'm speaking not only for myself, but for our state council. We support getting the course in advanced trauma nursing back into a classroom format, obviously as a natural follow-up for TNCC. I feel like this will keep emergency nursing in the trauma conversation. As a trauma educator, I think that's important. And then, of course, also, I want to say that we not only need to get this back in the classroom, but we support both a hybrid and possibly a virtual option for this course so we can get it out to the larger community.
Thank you, Keith. Laura Gallagher, you're up. Lisa Scott, you're on deck. So Laura, go ahead and raise your hand. Lisa, go ahead and raise your hand. We should have 2 hands raised. Looks like you're muted, Laura. All right, we'll move on to Lisa Scott. Go ahead. Jacqueline De Silva, you're next. So Lisa Scott, go ahead. Raise your hand. We'll call upon you to speak.
Hi, this is Lisa Scott. Hey, this is Lisa Scott. I'm from the state of Virginia, speaking on behalf of myself. I would just like to encourage everybody to vote for this resolution. I know that some states require more in-depth education than what TNCC requires, and I think it would be very beneficial for ENA to support their members in doing this and giving them what they need. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. Jacqueline De Silva, you're up. And then Eric, we got you on deck here, sir, as the author. Jacqueline, go ahead and speak. Yeah, it looks like your mic's still muted, Jacqueline. Jacqueline, you're unmuted now, it looks like. Go ahead and speak. All right, we're going to go ahead and move to Eric Christensen. Eric, you're there now?
Eric, appears you're unmuted, and unfortunately, we're not getting any audio from you. So if you just, again, want to, maybe it's best to use the phone-in option by clicking the arrow next to your mic icon and going to audio options.
Let's try this again. Ron, can I get a thumbs up? Perfect. So after hearing all our comments from yesterday, we hope to see this resolution amended to include an instructor-led component. Since our rules do not allow for amendments, please have your voice heard. We trust that our organization will make the best decisions during implementation. Please vote in favor of this resolution so that the important work can begin. If it is not implemented with an instructor-led component, we always have the option to bring this back again next year in Denver and have our voice heard on a different platform. Again, please vote in favor of this resolution. Thank you.
Amy Bourne, go ahead and raise your hand. Laura Gallagher, go ahead and raise your hand. I know, Laura, you said your computer froze up, so we'll get back to you. All right, we're moving from Amy to Laura Gallagher. Laura, go ahead and raise your hand. Laura, you there? Let's try Jacqueline. Jacqueline De Silva, anything?
Okay, Ron, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Good Lord. Okay, so I just have a clarifying question. I was having a lot of audio problems yesterday and clearly am experiencing the same thing today. So the clarifying question is, this is not meant to be strictly a virtual class, correct? Because I have some significant concerns about deferring funds away from state and local chapters with use of TNCC by funneling Catton through a national platform. I 100% support utilizing Catton, but I just want to make sure that it's done in the classroom, because I found that that is the best way to have interaction with the students and have the best experience.
All right, thank you. I think I don't know, I want to speak, maybe speak for Eric, because I think he was just making the assumption.
Yeah, we just call the phone in. We'll go.
The direction, and Eric, please clarify and get back in the queue if this is incorrect. But my understanding was it was just giving latitude to make this course whatever we needed it to be, whether that be instructor or virtual or both hybrid, kind of the flexibility to do that. Eric, if that is incorrect, please put that in the queue. Oh, Eric. Eric, go ahead and speak. Your hand is raised. And unmute. Eric? All right, well, as we're waiting for Eric to do that, to clarify that, let's move on to Jean Prell. Jean, go ahead.
Okay. Good. Hi, this is Jean Prale, past president, speaking on behalf of myself. I just want to reinforce what Eric said in that we want an instructor-led component to the course going forward, because you can't do the critical thinking sorts of discussions virtually or online that you could do virtually with an instructor or in person with an instructor. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Jean. I think Laura Gallagher. Maybe speaking under somebody else, Ellen's name. Laura?
You're in.
Hey, Ron, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so this is Laura Gallagher. Sorry, I'm having major computer issues, so I'm here with Ellen's computer. And I wanted to just reinforce what everybody has said about Catton. I taught this course for years. It was always so well received by the students that were in the class. We had guest instructors bringing different experiences within the program as well. And you really don't get that interpersonal type of learning that can happen so well in an interactive classroom setting from an online program. And while I appreciate the fact that it was still available, it's never reached its full potential on that platform, in my opinion. And that's just based on the more seasoned nurses that I have known in the Charleston area in teaching TNCC and ENPC courses. So I very much approve this resolution, and I thank Eric for bringing it to us, because this needs to happen. Blended learning is the way to go.
Thanks, Laura. Kevin McFarland. Kevin, streaming from your audio studio in Texas.
McFarland here.
Streaming from your audio studio.
That's right. That's right. Happy birthday, Ron. I just question I have for ENA is, this course was a live course at one point and was pulled as a live course. I guess I would want a little bit of information about why. If it wasn't making at the time, or if it wasn't popular enough at the time, I think certainly the option will change that. But I would want to know a little bit about why this was pulled as a live course in the first place, to help me kind of decide whether or not this should be something to support or not.
Great. Thanks,
Thank
Kevin.
you.
Chelsea Collins.
Chelsea Collins from the state of Colorado. I know that Eric has not been able to speak, and so of the conversations we've had in Colorado, to his question was that they wanted this to be an in-person issue, and so it was recommended to change it to interactive. And since they can't make the amendment, the recommendation to change as is, Eric wanted to go forward with it as it is currently, to at least start the process and move forward. The other part of this is it's asking for them to consider this to be a credentialing thing, so that the funds wouldn't necessarily be steered away from TNCC, and Catton can be used in place of TN or in place of ATCN or
TNCC so that funds aren't actually being removed.
Thanks, Chelsea. Amy Bourne. I believe we're calling on Amy because she is with Eric that can write or do the clarifying. So Amy Bourne. You're muted, Amy. All right, we'll move on to Ellen. Ellen, go ahead and raise your hand.
Hi, this is Ellen. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead, Ellen.
Yes, this was done as a mistake. I was doing that for Laura Gallagher, so you can take me out of there. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ellen. Julie Rossi? Julie, are you there?
Hi, this is Julie Rossi, delegate from California, speaking on behalf of myself. Can you hear me?
I can. Go ahead, please.
I'm screen is frozen. So, okay, perfect. What I did notice is if you close out your participant list, it works better. So again, Julie Rossi from the state of California, speaking on behalf of myself. I just want to say that I am wholeheartedly endorsing this resolution. I'm very excited about the prospects of Catton going to a verification option to actually be able to denote that the participants actually have gained the knowledge that the course provides. I would hope that the individuals that requested this come off the consent agenda actually had an opportunity to speak to that so that we can understand what their thinking was, because mostly what I'm hearing is for pros on this resolution. So I'd be curious to hear why it was removed from the consent agenda. Thank you.
Thank you, Julie. Anna Valdez. Anna, go ahead and raise your hand, please. And so we can call upon you here.
Good morning. This is Anna Valdez from California, speaking on behalf of myself. Can you hear me?
We can. Yep.
Wonderful. Thank you. I'm speaking in support of this resolution. Many, many years ago, when I was a young trauma nurse and had probably been in trauma for 4 or 5 years, I took the Catton course in person. And it was incredibly beneficial for me to be able to do that in person with an experienced instructor and other colleagues in the classroom with me. Some of the concepts I didn't fully understand, and I was able to dialogue with the instructor and my colleagues, and it really promoted critical thinking for me. And I agree with what Jean Prale said, that the face-to-face really allows the critical thinking component to happen. I also fully support this being a verification course.
Thank you, Anna. And Anelia Carta, you're up. You raise your hand, please.
And then it'll come up that says the unmuted. You?
You're in.
You're in? Okay. This is Eric Christensen, finally made it through. So a few clarification points on this. The first was when the original resolution came through, it was an in-person learning and cognitive learning opportunity, which enabled the ENA to make some decisions on implementation. They're concerned that it could be a strictly virtual class with no instructor involvement. We hoped to amend it to an instructor-led learning opportunity. Unfortunately, the committee did not want to make that amendment perfectly. We're asking for you to vote on it loud and clear that we need an instructor-led component. However, if that's not implemented in that version, we can always bring this back as a resolution for next year. There was a second question involving TNCC versus Catton and why it was removed from why Catton originally with ENA Education Department. We were not, that information wasn't available. It happened back in 2011, I believe. One of the issues we believe CC is listed as the education requirement. Catton is not listed. There was most likely relatively low enrollment. So this would need to pass, and then we have work to do to improve the education for our bedside nurses so that we can then make this a requirement. That will make a difference. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. Anelia Carta.
That was Amelia Carter for Eric Christensen.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. I'm looking back to my list. There are no more speakers in the queue. So we will go ahead and vote on the adoption of GA 21-05. All in favor? Pro? Against? Con? Ten more seconds. Can we have the results, please? Pro 93%, con 6%. The adoption of GA 21-05 as proposed is passed. Moving on to GA 21-06, Emergency Clinical Nurse Specialist National Certification. I turn it over to Dan.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Resolutions Committee recommends approving GA 21-06, Emergency Clinical Nurse Specialist National Certification as presented.
Great. We have the speaker, or the author, speak to GA 21-06. Carla?
Good morning. I think I'm unmuted now, correct? Okay,
Yes.
Great. Thank you. Happy birthday, Ron. So thank you. This is Carla Brim from Washington State, and Jeannie Burney is my co-author from Ohio. We would like to first thank you for your thoughtful comments during the reference hearings yesterday. We concur that identifying the emergency nurse as a population will be an integral part of paving the way to the ED-CNS certification. My co-author, Jeannie, she is on a collaborative committee that includes representation from the ENA, from the National Association of CNS, ANCC, the certification body, and the American Association of Emergency Nurse Practitioners. So this committee is currently working on a document that defines the emergency nursing population. We also would like to acknowledge that people have suggested that we reach out to BCEN. While that I think is probably the avenue that will be taken, we did not want to be prescriptive and would like ENA to have the latitude to develop collaboration with whichever certification body would best suit the purpose. So by passing this resolution, we believe that this will increase the likelihood that CNSs who practice in the ED setting are recognized in all states and are able to provide care to their full scope. Please vote for this resolution to ensure that CNSs across the country who participate in ED are offered this opportunity. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Carla. Chelsea Collins, raise your hand, you're up. And then we have Teresa Sullivan is on deck. Teresa, go ahead and raise your hand as well. Chelsea, you're up to speak.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Chelsea Collins from Colorado. As a former resolutions committee member who holds the resolution process very near and dear to my heart, this is not the way to go about this. Since the resolution is only affecting a handful of people, there's no reason to just push this through, to push it through. Rather, I encourage that we do this right the first time. ENA should not be managing the competencies nor the certification exam. Currently, ENA is not doing this for any other exam. ENA should be partnering with NACNS, BCN, and others to help identify these needs. And the way that the resolution is written, resolved one, is the reason I am not in support of this resolution, especially since we cannot make amendments at this time. I would like to remind everyone that just because we vote a resolution down doesn't mean that the national ENA cannot begin this work. And on the chance that this does pass, I want to ask the national staff members and volunteers to please keep that statement in mind. I support the intent, but as we are not voting on the intent of the resolution and the resolve clauses as they are, my concern is that this is outside the scope of the ENA, and we should be mindful of that in everything we do. Advocate for ERCNS certification, collaborate and support it, but not own it. ENA.
Thank you, Chelsea. Time has expired. Teresa Sullivan. Teresa Sullivan, go ahead and raise your hand.
I'm trying. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I'm trying to get, oh, my video won't work. It is imperative that we pass this resolution. ANA recognized emergency nursing as a specialty. Accordingly, the American Academy of Nurse Practitioners followed suit with emergency nurse practitioners. It's only appropriate that CNSs be equally recognized for what they do. We're not family medicine or critical care, and distinct competencies are needed to guide their essential practice. Thank you.
Thank you. Pam Fox, you're up. Go ahead and raise your hand. And then Valerie Brumfield, you're on deck. So Valerie, go ahead and raise your hand. Pam, go ahead and raise your hand. We'll call upon you. You're up to speak. Valerie Brumfield. Pam, it looks like we see your hand up, but it looks like you're muted. That's what I'm being told. So Valerie, if you're there.
Valerie, it looks like you're unmuted. We're not getting any audio from you. So if you just want to check your permissions on your browser by clicking that padlock in the address bar and making sure that you are allowing access to your microphone.
We'll move to Julie Rossi. Julie? And then Garrett Chan, you're on deck.
Hi, Julie Rossi. Hi, Julie Rossi, delegate from California, speaking on behalf of myself. As a currently employed emergency department clinical nurse specialist and have been for many years now, I applaud this resolution. I think we are the body that should take this on. We're the clinical experts. The ENA should have a role in development of the certification. I took my certification from American Association of Critical Care Nurses, as that was the only one available based on my education. And I would be first in line to take this certification. I agree that we need to partner with those bodies to make it happen. But again, being prescriptive in the resolution could be problematic. And I encourage the delegates to vote for this. We are the body that needs to make this happen. Thank you.
Thank you, Julie. Garrett. Garrett, go ahead and raise your hand and you can speak.
Hi, Ron. This is Garrett. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. Thank you so much. This is Garrett Chen from California, speaking on my own behalf. As the author of the 2008 resolution to look at core competencies for clinical nurse specialists in emergency care, and Carla Brim was on my committee, we did develop competencies, and we're right now in the development phase of creating another validation of competencies for clinical nurse specialists. And so I really want to encourage the membership to support this resolution. And I thank the authors for taking this to the next step. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Garrett. Pam Fox. Come back to you here, Pam. Go and raise your hand. Pam or Valerie? Looks like we have another person in the queue. Somebody from the board of directors.
Good morning. This is Chris Dellinger speaking on behalf of the Board of Directors. We support the adoption of this proposal as written. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Maureen O'Reilly. Maureen, go ahead and raise your hand. And then Pam and Valerie, you guys are on deck. Maureen.
Good morning. Can you hear me? As an advanced practice clinical nurse specialist in burn emergency trauma certification, I can tell you that my licensure application in New Jersey was very easy as a CNS in the ED and approved as such. However, on transition to Arizona, Arizona does not recognize ED nursing as a population, and I fell under the critical care umbrella. There are a number of my colleagues in other states that have had similar experiences, and this resolution would really help push forward that ED population and make our clinical nurse specialist status valid in our true titles. Thank you. Please vote yes.
Thank you for that. Valerie. Try Valerie
Okay,
here.
I'm
one last
hoping
time.
it works this time. Can you hear me this time?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, my name is Valerie Brumfield. I'm from the state of Texas. I am a clinical nurse specialist, but I'm not talking on behalf of Texas. Related to the resolve clauses, it's essential that the Emergency Nurses Association be the one to define CNS practice in the ED. We don't want other organizations doing that. And in order to have a certification, you have to have education, skills, and competency being defined. The other thing is this resolution proposes to advocate for national certification. And we want an ER CNS at the table. And so that's another reason why I really would like you to vote yes for this. Also, developing strategic partnerships is essential. And again, we want an ED CNS at the table on this. And exploring the development of national certification doesn't mean that ENA will do that national certification. We know that's not going to happen, but at least ENA.
Thank you. Time has expired. No more speakers in the queue. We're going to go ahead to a vote. So again, we're voting on the adoption of GA 21-06. All in favor of Mark Pro, against is Khan. Begin voting now. Ten more seconds. All right, can we have the results, please? We have 83% for, 16% con. Adoption of GA 21-06 as proposed passes. Now we'll move on to GA 21-07. We'll call on Dan Misa again.
The Resolutions Committee recommends against approval of GA 21-07, triage challenges in emergency nursing and conducting research to reduce error and improve outcomes. The reference hearings indicated strong support for ENA's role in furthering research and education related to triage, but there was not overall support for the resolution as drafted.
Thank you, Dan. Call on the author of GA 21-07. Go ahead and raise your hand. You can speak to it. Do we have the author for GA 21-07? Raise your hand.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so I just want to say thank you to everybody for this opportunity. The intent was to enhance current ESI course based on current research and to develop a competency program. As we all know, triage is a process and not a place. ESI is a tool purchased by ENA that was originally belonged to AHRQ for triage education. Many facilities utilize ESI, but they've also added their own competency-based programs, which are often homegrown and may not be based on current research or best practice. They're often subjective and based on who developed it. All of us can relate to stories of poor outcomes and even deaths because of a poor triage. These are never intentional. Triage is early critical element for ER nurses because it identifies the trajectory of care early on. We're often challenged with inadequate resources, including education, preconceived thoughts of assigning ESI based on the department and also the provider on working that day. Recommendations are to expand ESI to a competency-based course, similar to what nurses every few years have to read competency on BCLS, ACLS.
Great, thank you. Time has expired. Looking to the queue for speakers. All right, seeing no speakers in the queue. 1 second. Every time I do that. David McDonald, go ahead and raise your hand. We'll recognize you to speak.
It's David McDonald from David McDonald from North Carolina speaking on behalf of myself. I just wanted to thank the authors for bringing this forward. I think your intention is well intentioned, and I think that this proposal could just easily be adapted for next year to just kind of, shift more towards a CPG versus some kind of research report that's going to go out by national. So I think your intention was well, but if you could just next year potentially just look at, more like a shift more towards the CPG committee tackling this versus just ENA as a research report as a whole.
Thank you. Julie Rossi? Julie, you're up. And then Maureen O'Reilly is on deck. Julie, go ahead and raise your hand. Maureen, go ahead and raise your hand. All right, Julie, it looks like you're unmuted.
Hi, this is Julie. Were you asking for Julia? I believe it's Bossy. They're two with very close names. I did not raise my hand to comment. Sorry.
No, thank you for that. So are we looking for a Julia Bossy? Yes, Julia Bossy. Who would ever guess we have a Julie Rossi and a Julia Bossy? Julia Bossy, you're up. And Maureen, you're on deck. And then Jean Perel's after that. So heads up. Julia, you look like your hand's raised, but you're muted. Go ahead and speak. It looks like you're unmuted now.
Julia, it looks like we're not getting any audio from you. So if you either want to try to connect through the browser with the padlock option, or use the up arrow next to the microphone icon to join via phone.
All right, we'll move on to Maureen and Jean Perel, you're on deck. So Maureen? Maureen, raise your hand. Jean, go ahead and raise your hand. So we're calling Maureen's up.
Riley Cregan from Arizona State. Am I being heard? I'm sorry, the participant list wasn't getting out of my vision. Maureen O'Reilly Cregan, delegate from the state of Arizona. The message and intent, I thought, was they wanted to promote as authors a better educational component, in which case the topic flipping into research was very confusing. The components that really need to be addressed are not just the content. It's been well said for many years, but perhaps looking at adding an educator component to enhance those who don't frequently teach triage on how to handle some of the complex case studies that the participants bring to the program. So it looks to be more like an educational component and a follow-through component on competency, not research and more data collection. Thank you.
Thank you. Jean Perel, you're up. Melanie Hamilton, you're on deck. Go ahead and raise your hand as well, Melanie. Jean?
Hi, this is Jean Prale, ENA past president. I don't believe that this resolved reflects the intent of what the author said they wanted to accomplish. And so I'm going to vote against this. This really isn't a CPG sort of question. It's a different, larger kettle of fish, and I don't think that the resolved really gets at the issue. Thank you.
Thank you, Jean. Melanie Hamilton, you're up. Roseanne Mahoney, you're after Melanie. So Roseanne, go ahead and raise your hand. Melanie, go ahead and raise your hand and you're up.
Melanie, you appear to be unmuted at this point, but we're not getting any audio from you. So if you again want to look at that padlock in the address bar of your browser and make sure that your audio is connected. Otherwise, by the microphone icon in Zoom, there's an up arrow that you can access a call-in feature for your phone.
Thank you. Roseanne? Roseanne, and Kevin McFarland, you're on deck. So Roseanne, go ahead and raise your hand. Kevin, raise your hand. Roseanne, waiting to hear from you. All right, we're going to move on to Kevin McFarland. Lisa Burke, you are on deck after Kevin. So go ahead and raise your hand, Lisa. Kevin McFarland, go ahead.
I think Gene already said I was going to say. I just don't know that this is something we can do with CPG. There's a lot to do with triage, and I appreciate the author's encouragement to get this done. If you look at our position statement on triage, it said that there's some research to still do and lots to grow with ESI, and I think that covers what we need for right now. There's going to be a lot of research going on. My guess is with ESI being now owned by ENA, there's a lot to do and a lot that will be done, and I'm excited to see what ENA does with this.
Thank you, Kevin. Lisa Burke, you're up. Go ahead and raise your hand. Chelsea Collins, you're on deck. Chelsea, go ahead and raise your hand. Lisa, go ahead and speak. You're up.
Lisa, you appear to be unmuted, but again, we're not getting any audio from you, so just want to double check that audio connection with your browser and with the padlock, and make sure you're giving your browser access to your microphone. Otherwise, again, try using the call-in feature in the up arrow next to the microphone icon in Zoom.
All right, Chelsea Collins. Melanie Hamilton, we'll come back to you. You're on deck, Melanie. Chelsea Collins, go ahead and up.
Chelsea Collins from the state of Colorado, speaking on behalf of myself. Again, I just want to reiterate that we're voting on the resolve clauses, not the intent of things in the way that it is currently written. The discussion about the intent of is not applicable. And so just trying to keep this process as pure to the resolve clauses. So for that, I'm going to vote no, because I think that we aren't discussing the same thing that is actually written.
Thank you, Chelsea. Melanie Hamilton. Melanie. Roseanne. Whoever gets to the unmute first. Melanie.
Hello, this is Roseanne. Are you able to hear me?
I am.
Oh, great, thank you. I just wanted to applaud the author on this. I know that the intent was to develop a sort of competency course for triage, and through everything, it got put down to a research paper. But I truly, truly support that ENA needs to provide a triage competency course. We have ESI, as I stated yesterday, it's a wonderful tool, but it doesn't go deep enough. We all know that should only be experienced nurses in the triage area, but that doesn't happen. And all too frequently, triages are missed, even by competent nurses. So I really do strongly feel that a triage competency course should be through the ENA. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Roseanne. Melanie, one last chance for Melanie. All right, seeing nobody else in the queue, we will go to a vote. So the vote is to adopt GA21-07. Vote pro to adopt. Yeah, go ahead, Melanie. I need to move because I called to the vote. Sorry, Melanie. So vote pro if you're for and con if you're against. Sorry about that. I already called the vote. Ten more seconds, team. We can go ahead and have the results. "25% pro, 74% con. The adoption of GA 27-07 fails. Now we'll move on to GA 21-08. Yes, correct. I had it on my head that they were on the consent agenda, but they got pulled off the consent agenda. So that's why that's why my pause. So GA 21-08. I'll turn it over to Dan.
Thank you, sir. We're almost there. Hang in there, guys. The Resolutions Committee recommends the delegation approve GA 21-08, training of the emergency care technician in the emergency department as written.
Thank you. Can we hear from the author, Catherine Gleason? So heads up for the authors on 9 and 10 too. You'll be called on right after we speak to Dan as we come to you.
Hi there, this is Catherine Gleason. We appreciate the comments from the delegation yesterday regarding our resolution 21-08, training the emergency care assisted personnel in the emergency department. We respect the comments about the scope of practice. However, the resolution was not written with the intent of defining scope of practice or to remove any institution's right to tailor these roles to their own needs. And nor does the resolve clause suggest that either. We all know how valuable these support roles are to the emergency care team, and we believe that having a robust curriculum or resource developed by the ENA is crucial in guiding the development in appropriately trained emergency care assisted personnel. Currently, this resource is now only able to be purchased as an 18-year-old used text with limited availability. So we urge the delegates today to support this resolution, and we're again asking the ENA to update or revise the existing curriculum to serve as really a guide for the orientation and training of the emergency care assisted personnel in the ED. Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. Looking for the queue if you wish to speak on this proposal, GA 21-08. Type in pro or con, and we'll be called upon. Call Adam Johnston. Adam, go ahead and raise your hand. Michael Moon, you're on deck. Go ahead and raise your hand, sir, Michael. Adam, you're up.
Good morning. This is Adam Johnston from North Dakota. On behalf of the North Dakota delegation, we do support this resolution. And on behalf of myself, I'd just like to share I functioned in the role of our department educator for about 2 years in our ER and really had a struggle finding appropriate educational material that was up to date for providing some of those basic skills and basic information to our assistive personnel. And because of that, I strongly support this resolution. This addresses a gap in available resources, and ENA has the opportunity to update this curriculum and provide that education that our departments need.
Thank you, Adam. Melanie Hamilton, you're up. Lisa Burke, you're on deck. Melanie, go ahead and raise your hand. Lisa, go ahead and raise your hand as well. Again, if you're having trouble on that, the phone option might be a better. Oh, Melanie, okay, thank you. We'll remove you. Go to Lisa. Lisa, you're up.
Can you hear me? Hello,
Yes.
this is Lisa Burke. Hi, this is Lisa Burke from the state of Oregon. I'm speaking on behalf of myself. I strongly support this resolution. I think there is a very poor training for a lot of the techs. They come in with a variety of experience from CNAs, paramedics, or other trained. And I think that we need to provide a consistent expectation of how delivery of care is different in the emergency room versus other settings. I had an example of a great new tech that came to our department a few weeks ago, and he was so amazing. The other techs were standing around in awe saying, I want to be like him. This technician had some advanced training and had been in a very busy ER. And so our tech said, we need this kind of training. And this was before I read this resolution. So I'm very excited this resolution is available to us, and I strongly encourage this to be passed. Thank you.
Thank you. Mary Addison, you're next. Mary, go ahead and raise your hand and speak.
I did. Four. Okay. That's you go right here.
We're hearing a little bit of audio there, Mary.
Can you hear me okay? I can see your transcript that you hear me. So what I will tell you is I applaud this resolution. It very strongly addresses workforce development, and it says that we just need to update something we already did in 1993 that I was totally ignorant of. So go for it, guys.
Thank you, Mary. Melanie. Melanie Hamilton, go ahead and raise your hand.
Hello, this is Melanie. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
These technical issues are killing me. Anyway, I'm in huge support of this. I've worked in emergency rooms all over the country, and we need to recognize that while some emergency rooms have EMTs or paramedics available, not all do. And this would be a wonderful program for those of us that do not have those additional resources to rely on, to bring these staff up, to encourage them, and to have some guidelines in developing education for them. I think it's a wonderful thing. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Julia Bossi, not Julie Rossi. Julia Bossi, you're up, and then we have Elizabeth Gompf on the deck. So Julia, go ahead and raise your hand, and Elizabeth, go ahead and raise your hand.
Hello there.
Hi.
It is Julia Bossi from the great state of Georgia. So we wanted to, hi buddy, happy birthday. We wanted to bring up that we understand we are in support of this resolution. And if there are issues, we certainly feel that we could put it in a module format so that if certain states had practice acts, perhaps they could remove those modules from the education or the toolkit. So we are definitely in support of this. Thank you.
Thank you. Elizabeth Gompf, you're up. And Karen Kloppel is after that. So Elizabeth, raise your hand. Karen, go ahead and raise your hand. Elizabeth, you're up. Karen, go ahead and speak. Go ahead and raise your hand, Karen. Elizabeth, it looks like you're unmuted.
Hello, this is Karen Kloppel from Washington State. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm speaking on behalf of myself, but I wholeheartedly agree with all the previous speakers that this is something we definitely need. As an educator trying to get the most current things for text, it would be great if ENA already had the toolkit to provide us. And as far as the scope of practice goes, it can be tailored to whatever your specific state needs, as includes a scope of practice for text. But it's a very much needed product. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Karen. Elizabeth. Last chance here, Elizabeth. All right, nobody else in the queue. We're going to go ahead and go to the vote. We're voting to adopt GA 21-08. Again, vote pro if you're in favor of adoption, vote con if you are not. Ten more seconds. All right, can we have the results, please? %95 pro, 4% con. Adoption of GA 21-08 passes. Now on to GA 21-09, increasing community engagement using web-based resources. I'd like to turn it over to Dan.
Thank you again. The Resolutions Committee recommends the approval of GA 21-09, increasing community engagement using web-based resources as written.
Thank you. I'd like to hear from the author, Lauren Plain. Lauren, go ahead and raise your hand, unmute.
Hello, audio check.
We got you.
Awesome, thank you so much. My name is Lauren Plain. I'm from Virginia. I'm one of the co-authors on this resolution. Community connection is critical for emergency nurses. I don't know about you all, but I never would have made it this far into the pandemic without my connection to the emergency nursing community. But for ER nurses, community connection is twofold: our nursing community and the community we serve. We are seeking out a way to maximize these community connections through an improved ENA platform. This will save members time when seeking out opportunities or ideas that may already exist, but also allow for ease and consistency of chapters and states, as well as national and international ENA, to connect with their membership. This would expand opportunities to engage with the nursing and greater community to improve ease of information sharing and our connections. We ask that you vote for GA 21-09, increasing community resources. Thank you.
Thank you, Lauren. All right, we'll go ahead and open up for discussion and debate on GA 21-09. Again, put yourself pro or con in the queue to speak. Seeing no one in the queue, we'll go ahead and vote for the adoption of GA 21-09. In favor, vote pro. Against, vote con. Five seconds. All right, we'll go ahead and have the results, please. 84% pro, 15% con. Adoption of GA 21-09 passes. On to the last one, I believe, right? GA 21-10 or 10. I'll turn it over to Dan.
Thank you. The Resolutions Committee recommends approving GA 21-10, identify and support ways that decrease emergency department nurses taking work-related stress home as amended. The amendment that's being offered removes the first resolve clause related to investigating the causes and impacts of work-related stress to focus on the important support our members need in coping with secondary traumatic stress and primary/post-traumatic stress. The committee moves the amendment as offered.
Great, thank you. First, we'll go ahead and open debate on the amendment. We're only debating the amendment right now. So if you want to vote, if you want to discuss the amendment, put yourself pro or con in the discussion. Again, we're just discussing the amendment. Seeing no one in the queue to discuss. Oh, check that. Kelsey Shields, go ahead and raise your. Oh, check that. Sorry, Kelsey, I've been informed you're an alternate delegate and cannot speak. Lisa Burke. Lisa Burke, go ahead and raise your hand. Lisa, you there? Yeah, it looks like you're unmuted.
Oh my gosh. Oh,
Lisa,
hello, this is Lisa Burke. I'm trying. Can you see? Can you hear me? This is Lisa Burke. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Hi, this is Lisa Burke from the state of Oregon. I'm speaking on behalf of myself. I fully support the adoption of this amendment to the resolution. I think that we all know about the stressors that have been plaguing the nursing workforce in the last decade. I would think that we really need to focus on the issues to help us cope with it and resolve it. So I think that our energy and time would be a lot better supported if we just move on to how to mitigate the risk. So I do support this amendment. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Lisa. Seeing no one else in the queue, we'll go ahead and go to the vote on the amendment, the proposed amendment. So vote pro if you're for the amendment, con if you're against the amendment. Five seconds. All right, we have the results, please. %90 pro, 9% con. Adoption of GA 21-10 of the amendment passes. So now we will call the author to GA 21-10. I believe it's Joni to speak on the proposal as amended. We have Joni. Looks like you're unmuted. Johnny, we're getting some little audio there.
There, can you hear me now?
We can. Go ahead, please.
Oh, great. Thank you. It's so hard, this technology stuff. So we would like to, this is Joni Soames from Minnesota, and we want to thank the members of the Assembly for their comments and the Resolutions Committee for their recommendation on how to amend this resolution. We actually want to acknowledge that there are many published studies, including those by Drs. Moon, Wolf, and others related to work stress, but many of them were looking at individual components of work-related stress. And our point was that the stress is not just compassion fatigue that's often caused by that secondary traumatic stress that we learned about in TNCC, or due to workplace violence and workplace situations causing primary traumatic stress on our nurses, or just plain old COVID that has added to the problem. Our goal was to identify interventions that would decrease both secondary traumatic stress and compassion fatigue and the primary traumatic stressors like workplace violence that we're experiencing. And we wanted to make sure that we weren't taking it home to our families, not that they shouldn't be hitting our stress. We just don't want to stress them any further. Recognizing the that we.
Thank you, Joni. Time's expired on your comments from the. We'll also now move to discussion. Pro or con, go ahead and put that in. We already have one person in the queue. Karen Kettner, go ahead and put your hand up and unmute. Looks like you're unmuted, Karen.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
It says the host has muted me.
Nope, I can hear you.
Okay, great. This is Karen Kettner from the state of Washington, speaking on behalf of myself as a representative in government affairs. I would like to support this as it goes along nicely with the Laura Breen bill. If this bill passes nationally, they will be looking for input from national organizations to figure out the best way to deal with these sort of issues. As representatives of emergency nurses, we should be able to have a well thought out process to help support that bill. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. All righty, seeing no one else in the queue, we'll go ahead and call to the vote. Voting for the adoption of GA 21-10. Again, vote pro or con for the adoption of GA 21-10 as amended. Ten more seconds. All right, can we have the results, please? %92 pro, 7% con. Adoption of GA 21-10 is approved. Yeehaw! All right, so thank you, everyone. Really, that was, I know, a lot of technology issues, but again, it's so important that even with the struggles we have in front of us, that we need to move forward and do some association, the work of the association. So thank everybody for your participation and valuable insights throughout this year's virtual General Assembly meeting. I want to applaud the overwhelming professionalism and dedication to everyone who put on display to make this virtual GA a success. ENA and I am truly appreciative of your willingness to make the time for this important aspect of the association's operation. It is awesome. Thank you so much. A quick housekeeping note, delegates, alternate delegates, and ENA past presidents must complete a post-General Assembly evaluation to receive your certificate of service. So remember, if you're looking for your certificate of service, you need to complete the evaluation. An email will be sent to you later this week to complete the evaluation in order for you to receive your certificate. While the work of the General Assembly is complete, I encourage everyone to join ENA this week to a fully virtual Emergency Nursing 2021. It all begins this afternoon, and I can't express enough how excited I am. Opening session this afternoon featuring dynamic Dr. Rick Rigsby. The 2 short calls I've had with Dr. Rigsby had fired me up. I was laughing, fired up, and emotional. He's going to be a can't miss moment, I will guarantee you. That just gets the ball rolling for 3 days of education, networking, and a little fun, and much more. And for only $199, just shy of 200 bucks, you'll also get on-demand access to all the conference content till January 31st. That's pretty amazing. And again, I've said it before, but it's close to almost 50 CNEs that are out there for you ups to grab. So even if you can't be with us for everything this week, you can still soak up all high-quality emergency nursing education that EN21 has to offer over the next few months. Again, get your phone out, scan the little code on the screen, and learn more about and register for Emergency Nursing 2021. We didn't get what we expected for General Assembly and Emergency Nursing 2021 in Orlando this year, but let's not let that prevent us from seizing the days and opportunities we have in front of us this week, and wherever you're back to work. ENA is proud of all you do and represent emergency nursing. The light at the end of the tunnel is there, I promise you, and we'll get there together. Thank you again for your commitment to ENA. At this time, with no further business to come before this assembly, I declare the 2021 ENA General Assembly adjourned. Woohoo!